And another thing, don't make it a guessing game for your parents whenever you're sharing with them, like, oh, I have this problem. And then they'll sit there, so what is it? What do you have? Yeah, it's just really bad. I just can't explain it to you, but yeah. And you're like, you need to explain to them and share with them, hey, this is where I'm struggling. These are the things that I am, be more specific. And you don't necessarily tell all the details on some things, just like it, says in God's word, but still sharing more than just like a general overview.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Monday, May 13th, 2024. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. If you were Jim Bob Duggar and you had one of your daughters, Joy Anna Forsyth, coming forward basically saying, you know what, the way I grew up, I think part of the belief system I had maybe wasn't true. I knew I didn't believe in certain components of the belief system, but I didn't understand why. I'm not going to have my children have chaperone dates. We're going to let them have their own relationships. They don't necessarily have to court. We can wear pants. We're not going to do things the same as my parents did. And Austin and I are unraveling a lot of what we grew up in and learning about our own beliefs and crediting books written by her sisters Ginger and Jill. Naturally, that news was kind of reverberating all over the internet. And so headlines were, Jana Duggar is leaving the group, which I did a video on. It is clear that even though she is still going to church with them, even though she still has a relationship with them, that she and Austin are waking up and realizing that their lives are not what they thought they were. Going on record and saying Ginger's book rocked my world, shook my foundation, that doesn't help Jim Bob Duggar's plight and goal to be the, cult leader of his family and the cult leader of the IBLP de facto. So naturally, when you have that happening, what is Jim Bob Duggar going to do? According to Jill's book, he loves to use his kids as deflections on Instagram. He also loves to use photos and post photos on the various accounts of the kids that are still underneath his control. He, according to her, basically controls the social media of several of the adult kids and dictates what they can and cannot share and makes money off of their likeness still to this day, and will obviously, according to her book, pit the kids against each other and have one child become the target of other siblings to try to draw them back into the fold. She talked a lot about how her siblings would show up and they would want to talk to her for hours and they would want to understand what her point was and try to get her to understand her dad's point of view and to try to bring her back into the fold and all of these things. Read Counting the Costs by Jill Duggar. It's a great book. Ginger's book goes into the shoddy belief systems of the IBLP and compares it to the Bible and proves that the IBLP believes in nothing of substance. And it's all just fabrications to please a man of Bill Gothard and his sadistic, disgusting views. So what does he do when he has another daughter sort of revolting? Well, naturally, he would bring back Jana Duggar. Jana Duggar has a shocking return to her Instagram. She hadn't posted in more than a year. Frankly, since she had been charged with child endangerment in the end of 2021, she hadn't posted very much at all. She posted here and there, but after 2022, she just kind of stopped posting. She did plead guilty to endangering a child in the 3rd degree, and it was a misdemeanor, and she had to pay a fine, and there was an ongoing CPS investigation, and the investigation involved the daughter of Josh and Anna Duggar, Mariella, who had been found wandering the streets. She was about 3/4 of a mile away from the home, and she had to cross rough terrain, cross a pond, a busy road, and was actually found in the middle of the road by someone driving. The child at the time was under 2 years old, or maybe just 2 years old, and when the police made contact with Jana, she denied knowing the child. She told the police that she would go to the police station, and then she didn't, and she backed back into the car and got into the house and called an attorney, and then she went ahead and lied on Instagram saying that it was just a brief 5 minutes that the child was gone and then they were reunited, when that couldn't have been further from the truth, and she was separated from Mariella for hours. Poor Mariella was with the police at the police station because no one would claim her. So anyways, she sort of went off the radar, but now she's back right after Joanna goes public with denouncing the belief system. It's not a coincidence. It's following the protocols and the details that Jill Duggar explained. She shared a post which was just spring flowers of chives growing in a garden in the yard of her parents. And then on Mother's Day, she posted a tribute to her mother, Michelle. And the picture is of Jana and her mom, Jana showing knees and a lot of arms, so scandalous, saying, "Happy Mother's Day, Mom." Actually, her coming back to Instagram was a huge story, and I was getting a lot of messages from all of you sending me the post that she put on her Instagram. And I'm here to talk about it a little bit. And there was a lot of comments in her post, on her post. There was a specific comment that was made that has now been deleted, and it was an individual telling Jana that she did not have to be a stay-at-home daughter. She wrote, "You don't have to be a stay-at-home daughter. Please go spread your wings." That comment has now been deleted, and that comment was shared on the post with the chives and the wind and the spring. Video that she took was taken at her parents' house. It's taken out in the garden, and a lot of people were upset with that comment, but to be honest, she is a stay-at-home daughter. She has been a stay-at-home daughter. She's going to be a stay-at-home daughter for as long as she can be, until she either wakes up or the kids grow up or Jim Bob dies. Because at this point in time, Jana is 34 years old. She'll be 35 next January. She still lives at home with her parents, and she still is taking care of her younger siblings. It's evident by a video, the last vlog that was shared by the Duggars, that has to do with Joy. Duggars had been using Joy's vlog to post content on their Duggar family page, and they were using her vlogs as sort of a, look at our family, we're still great, we all love each other. Well, with Joy's kind of about face and changing up and changing her views and being more vocal about it, obviously, you gotta make sure that one of the daughters that's still under the control shows her obedience and reminds everyone how great the father and mother are in the family. But also, the last vlog they shared was a slumber party. And the slumber party was with Joy and her younger sisters and Jana. And they were all coming to sleep over because Austin had left for the weekend. And what it ended up looking like is that Joy had her younger sisters over for a sleepover. And she has all of her sisters that are basically not married sleeping over at her house, including Jana. Jana's almost 8 years older than her, 7 years and 8 or 9 months older than her sister Joy. She basically raised Joy. And now Jana's going with her unmarried sisters, who are all mostly underage other than Hannah. And they're having a slumber party. And it just looks very strange. It looks like Jana's there because she's either minding her sisters because they can't be trusted around Joy, or she's there because she's still under the authority of her dad. You know what I mean? It has weird optics. She looks like a stay-at-home daughter here.
Okay, Jan, what did you pick?
Okay, where was your favorite place you lived? We've kind of only lived in this area most of the time. Although we lived in Little Rock for a little while. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, what houses? What house was your favorite?
I think our old house, which is what we call our old house, the rent house, the new house, big house, whatever.
Like
now.
the original old house?
But I think the original old house, just because that's where most of my memories were. Mm-hmm. That's where I remember just my growing up years. So.
Who is the most likely to give solid advice in this room? In this room, Jana would be.
Yeah, Jana.
Yeah. And Jana will give you the advice whether you want it or not, and it's a good thing. Out of love, she does it.
Sometimes. Joy,
she does it.
Joy does too, though.
Very much so. Yeah. How do you show your support to your family members?
Or,
I mean, I
well,
think
don't
in
know.
and out. I think out, it's like, for those that are out and about. Now that they have kids, I think it's,
Like babysitting.
I don't know, helping out. Yeah, babysitting, or when different ones
Like
have moved,
going,
helping
or
set up
Going
their
to like
homes.
kids games if kids have games. Like
Jana's really
sometimes
good
kids have
at,
basketball games.
which you were probably going to say this, but Jana's really good at, like, if the siblings have their houses that they're wanting, like, different things done, or even if they don't want them done, she'll show up and be like, hey, Joy, your house looks awful. Let me come help you set up some curtains and get you a couch and a nice
No,
rug.
I think of things like if it's something that I've heard that it's probably overwhelming or burdensome, I want to help and to relieve that pressure, I guess. Or yeah, but as far as like supporting one's then at home too, I don't know. I guess it's all the same.
Yeah.
Like just want to help others, relieve stress. Just I don't know, be there for each other.
And you have to be intentional, which you're good about, I feel like.
I try.
With, but it's hard because
I know it's only a short few clips, and I know some people who are cult members or from the fundy world don't want to believe this, but Jana Duggar is still taking care of her family, and she's admitting that she still takes care of her family. You know, her sisters are admitting who's the person that they go to for advice or who's going to give advice. Jana. Why would Jana be that one? Well, she's one, the oldest, and she's also the one that's raised her sisters, all of them. Every single girl that's in that room has basically been raised by Jana. Michelle Duggar, as much as she claims, is not a hands-on mom, and she had way too many kids to take care of. She was way too busy when the show was filming. She was constantly traveling, doing circuits to promote their cult, going in on these speaking engagements, gone for like sometimes more than a month, traveling from church to church to church to minister. Or even before that, before the show, they were constantly campaigning for Jim Bob's political campaigns and traveling around Arkansas so that he could win his different races. She was always busy with other things that Jana was, who took care of the kids. And so Jana still is, well, now that some of my siblings don't live at home still and they have kids, I go over to their house and I take care of their children, or I help decorate their home, or I try to take burdens off of them. And then the ones that are still at home with her, she still apparently does the exact same thing. Although at home, I'm sure with the younger ones, she's also helping with homeschooling. She's making sure that they get their chores done. She's delegating and organizing the life of Michelle. Michelle has said more than once that her house would not function if not Jana. Like, Jana is who keeps the home organized, keeps the schedule running and flowing. And Jana, although might have a little bit more freedom these days, is still the minder of her younger sisters. And she still is, in a way, taking care of everyone in the family, even the siblings that live out on their own. She is Jessa's babysitter. She babysits for Joy. She does a lot for Jessa, a ton for Jessa. She babysits the kids of her brothers. She's basically the family babysitter, and she's basically the family slave in many ways. Like, she's the person that is doing what her mom cannot do, or doing what her parents cannot do, or because there's so many kids, there's just not enough parents to do what they need to do. And for whatever reason, they've not let her court really at all. They've not let her get married, even though she's had suitors, even though she's expressed interest and shown interest. She's never been allowed to move out. She won't be allowed to move out until she's married. Jim Bob will not let her move out. She's been conditioned to believe she cannot move out. And she's been indoctrinated to believe that she still has to stay under her dad's authority until she gets married, or until he dies, or until something. I mean, some stay-at-home daughters will stay at home with their parents and then take care of their parents as they're aging and elderly and until their death. Jim Bob is only in his late 50s. He could live 30 more years, meaning Jana could still be at home in her 60s taking care of her dad. What kind of life is that for a woman? You're taking and stealing her whole life and telling her that this is her job. And she accepts it for what it is. They have her living in a small little trailer out in the courtyard of their house right now. But she still hasn't moved out. That's not her own place. She doesn't have her own address. She doesn't have her own P.O. box. It's not a permanent structure. It's basically just a trailer that they're letting her live in but not letting her leave. She doesn't have to be a stay-at-home daughter. And she also had some other comments on that same post that were about her mom and some negative comments. So I just want to share a few for you. How can she even show her face? She covered up for what her son did to her daughters. She's a monster. IMO. Someone wrote, when are you moving out on your own? Another person said, didn't she try to cover up sex abuse? Another person wrote, run Jana, free Jana. Those are the comments that are currently sitting on her post. There's also positive ones, but some people are noticing that, and telling Jana, like, you don't have to live like this. And obviously pointing out the obvious that Michelle Duggar did help cover up sexual abuse in her home. She did not protect her daughters. She has enabled and supported a man that has abused his daughters and still protects his son to this day, that has labeled their daughter Jill evil and wicked. Michelle has a lot of gull showing her face, but that's what Jim Bob does. He's got to change the narrative. But it's, you can't have what happened with Josh and not expect that kind of reaction from people. Whether you like it or not, that's the facts for Jana. And so her returning to Instagram right as Joy's making these statements doesn't feel like a coincidence to me. It's very suspicious. It's very Jim Bob Duggar orchestrated. And he is going to, if Joy continues to speak out, begin to pit the kids against Joy. She won't be safe anymore. And it might get to a point where Joy, like her sister Jill, isn't allowed at the big house. And even though Jill goes there rarely, or if, like Ginger, when she comes in town, doesn't stay at her parents' house. Because Jill and Ginger are not safe. They believe that they're going to try to pull those kids out of the cult, and they don't want them there. They don't want them to influence their kids. So Joy might be joining that rank of the kids. We'll have to wait and see. And as she gets pulled out and sort of targeted like that, we'll have to see how she reacts. So don't be surprised that Jana's back, and just continue to remember that other Duggar kids might start showing up too that are still under their parents' control and start posting, just as a distraction and a deflection. All right, y'all, let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Click on the bell so you never miss a video. And thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.